Hello, everyone. It's always a pleasure to see all of you here. InOut is one of our main events across the year, and it's always a great time for all of us here at Devfolio. Before we dive right in, we won't take too much of your time. It's just a short intro of what we're doing here. As you know, InOut started 5 years ago in a small, dingy room in SVNIT Surat, and it just kept going every year, every year, and year again. We did 3 years in Surat. Now then they did 3 years in Bangalore, and now, unfortunately or fortunately, we're on the cloud now. And even though it's not a decision that we obviously voluntarily took, but I think we have to make the most of it right now and see what can be done. So we use this opportunity to become as big as we've ever been. This year, for the first time, we had just under 7,000 applicants, and out of which we've selected like the best 10 to 15 percentile. So we have around 1,500 hackers for InOut 7, and that's the biggest number we've ever had. And all in a way thanks to COVID and this forcing function of going virtual. Um, um, this year we also had it's one of the highest women participation that we've also seen in the last few years. So we're all also really proud of that. Just a short intro about Devfolio before we move on. Devfolio also started out of InOut. The same team that used to organize InOut, like figured out this problem in the market and created Devfolio. And of course, as our genesis lies in InOut, there's no wonder it's very close to our hearts. Mm, and introducing myself, I am Shroff. I'm the chief of staff of Devfolio. I and I'll be just taking you through a few special projects that we're running here, and I'm just hoping that you have a great time and you help us figure out how these projects can work in the long term for all hackathons across India. So like the main theme right now, of course, has to be problems. Usually hackathons have these problem statements or tracks which they hope will help you figure out what to make so that it's something that is actually valuable. But everybody, like, just look around. Everybody knows what's happening, what's going wrong. COVID pretty much took the entire world by storm. And any direction you look right now, there are problems. Like, the whole world is one big problem statement right now. Like, you start from governance, go to health, welfare, retail, food, individual productivity, working. And most of the things in most of these areas are in a complete mess right now. High-speed technological progress that we thought would save us from something like this has not happened clearly, and progress is pretty much stalled. So what we're hoping is that as India, as a few of India's best builders, where everybody else sees problems, you see opportunity. And so this way we wanted to level up. We wanted to make sure that InOut is just not a small place for you to tinker around with technology. It actually becomes a place. It actually becomes like a launch pad where you can actually make production level tools and projects with people across the country, across the world can actually use. So I think that is our main focus. Like, if we had to have one theme for the entire event and for the entire year, it's figuring out how to solve problems sitting at your home with code and making things that a lot of people actually really want. So that brings us to our first big sort of project we're running this time, quadratic funding. Quadratic funding, of course, it started out of the Ethereum world, and it's used across the world by many policymakers to decide what to do, what not to do, how do you make these sort of public choice decisions. And quadratic funding is just a form of quadratic voting that we're integrating into InOut this year. We have a pool of $5,000 odd, which is basically up for grabs for every project that is actually submitted. Of course, we'll have winners and everything, but the main way, like, we're making sure that the market decides who are the top projects based on what is the most useful for them. So once you submit your projects, every project will have a micro grant contribution tab. Anybody anywhere sitting anywhere in the world can just go to a project, see your video if they really like it. Of course, everything will be open source, so they can run it on their own. You can make better consumer friendly versions of your tabs, versions of your projects. And if they think it is actually useful, they can actually vote with 10 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, whatever amount they want, based on how useful they think your project is. We're hoping that the more useful, the more money they will put in, and they'll tell us and everybody in the world how much people actually think your project is useful. So we're giving you a chance for the first time in any hackathon in India to make sure that you can actually portray how actually useful your project is. And the way quadratic funding works is it funds projects which are very useful for a lot of people, but not useful enough for them to fund it entirely. So if you get 100, we've also written a big blog about this which you can check out. But if 100 people give you 10 rupees each, that tells us that a broad variety of people value your product, so you'll get a bigger grant from our side. And the entire and all the amount we have, our entire contribution pool is up for any project that is submitted. So we're hoping you make the most out of it. You're of course you're free to for people to know if your project is useful or not. They need to know about your project. So feel free to market the hell out of your project. There is no restriction on that. You can spam your WhatsApp channels, WhatsApp groups. It's also like you're going one level up from not just building but also telling people about what you made. So the more people who think your project is useful, the more money you'll make. And there's lakhs of rupees up for grabs. So I'm hoping to make the most out of this opportunity. One thing we always notice is a lot of times hackers don't know, or like somewhere get lost in the trends of our trends of today's Twitter, or trends of what's going on these days in these pockets of the world, and you sometimes forget what's actually very useful for people to make. So what we've done this year is we've actually sourced ideas from people across verticals, across our network, and these are actually smaller sized tools and projects that can actually be taken to production in a month. So this is already giving an indication of what to make and what people think actually is useful and what's actually missing in their lives. So we launch this feature by tonight or tomorrow, and the few ideas are already up there. We're in the process of revamping the whole thing. So in the first ideation week, when you're figuring out what to make, you just see what people want, and it'll just be easier for you to make it. And you already know that they really value these things. The third big project that we're launching this time is the Build India Fellowship. Here, people on the quality funding can only support you with 10 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, 1,000 rupees, and we'll match it with our overall contribution fund of $5,000. But with Build India Fellowship, we're taking this also to a next level. We have $10,000 per team or per individual who wants to focus for 6 months focus for 6 months full time to make open source public goods. And we don't care what you're making, as long as you think it's going to be helpful for the most people, and it helps you exit this sort of job focused rat race that we all see in college, and just channel your inner true builder and make cool things. So you can make multiple smaller you can target, for example, you can target the designing industry, you can target freelancers and make multiple small tools for them. You can just pick up a vertical and make multiple small tools to make their lives easy, or you can pick up one big project like a big internship and even explore. And we're open to you exploring if this can actually be turned into a full-fledged startup. So all of you will get, so every applicant who's successful, individual or team, will get total of $10,000. That's around 7 lakh rupees. And so that's the capital. We'll provide you with the network. We'll help you with mentorship. We'll connect you to anybody you want who is the perfect mentor for that sort of project. And we'll do everything we can to make sure that this project can actually launch you in the direction you want to be launched in. And so Build India Fellowship will also be opening applications tonight from Defolio itself. So feel free. Of course, we sort of a longer application process, but applications open today and they're going to be up for a month and a half till the end of the year. It's 31st. Deadline is 31st December. So we're hoping to see a bunch of applications there. And of course, the cherry on top is that top 5 projects at InOut will get a direct entry into the interview stage of the building the fellowship. So that's so just don't think about the $5,000 contribution pool you have and what money you can make from there here in the hackathon, but think what bigger grant you can receive to actually take this project full time. And of course, like most long term things, there's sort of this hacker guide that we prepared for you. It'll just tell you what to do, where to go, how our Discord works, how comms will work, submission and everything. I'll just have Denver join in so he can take you through.
Cool. Can you guys hear and see me now? Hope you guys can. All right. Let me just share my screen now. And thanks for kicking off the hackathon, Neil. And what I'll be now doing is that I'll be walking you through a hacker's guide, which is something that you'll find in your emails soon enough if you have been accepted. Right? Let me just walk you through that. Let me just share my screen. Neil, can you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah.
So I hope you can see my screen, and on it you can see the InOut Hackers Guide. Neil, can you confirm that's what you can see on my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Right. So this is the Hackers Guide that we have prepared, and it'll tell you pretty much everything that you need to know throughout the hackathon, right? And this is a document, like I said, that we'll be sending to your emails very soon, and we'll be putting it up on the InOut channels on Discord. First of all, first and foremost, make sure that you have joined Discord, and once you have joined Discord, you need to navigate there and go to this page called InOut Landing. Once you read this message and are okay with the terms and conditions, the code of conduct, and the participants' consent, then you can go to any of these channels and put in your Devfolio username. And the way you choose which channel you have to post in is by this first name of your first alphabet of your name. So if your name starts with A, you post here. If your name starts with F, post it here, and so on. So when you post here, you can just feel free to introduce yourself, and do remember to post your Devfolio username. 8 p.m. onwards today, we will start checking you in, and once we check you in, you'll be able to see all the other channels that are reserved for InOut, right? So that's how the Discord will work. About the Hackers Guide, here you have everything that you need. The check-in process again has been explained here. Amit, we'll be using Amit throughout the hackathon, so make sure you are tuned to all the sessions that are happening here. Also, InOut is strictly a team competition. You do need to have a team of minimum of 2 people, 2 to 5 people, to be able to submit a project. While individuals have been accepted, they can RSVP and they can even check in. But before the end of the hackathon, you will need to team up with at least one other person. So quadratic funding, Neil has already explained, told about that, about Build India Fellowship as well. So these are the kind of broad ideas, that broad overviews of the weeks that we want you to work on. Week 0 this weekend is when you can get started off with what you want to build. Week 1 is really finalize on what you want to build, and take help from mentors, from fellow hackers, and really brainstorm and really see if you are building something that people want. Week 2 is where you get into the meat of things and you build out your project. remember the submission deadline for your project is 13th December. You need to submit your projects before then, before midnight of 13th December. However, once that is done, once your submission is out of the way, you can still update it until the end of the hackathon, the official close of the hackathon, which is on December 21st. And week 3 is continuing on your project that you built and submitted in week 2. In week 3, you will be able to make updates to your projects. You can make corrections, polish it however you wish to. So that's how that's the itinerary for the next 3 weeks. Here you also have the hackathon and summits calendar. We have a lot of interesting sessions coming up, so make sure you are subscribed to the calendar by clicking here. And yes, that's about it from my end. And I think next up we will be having our sponsors uh, showcasing what you can build on at InOut using them.